This is gonna be cool.
The topics and opinions expressed on the Dudes and Beer podcast are intended for an audience of 18 and up and are solely those of the host and guests. They neither reflect the opinions or values of either the sponsors of Dudes and Beer or your mother. I mean, seriously. Have you ever heard these guys? They'll talk about anything.
Whoa, hey, you think they're gonna show it? They'll probably just blur it out. Whoa, check it out, Beavis.
Get ready to sit back, relax, and open your mind. Welcome to Thinking Deeply with Dudes and Beer. Well, hello, fellow dudes and dudettes. As a matter of fact, welcome to Episode 7, lucky number 7. Lucky number 7. Imagine that. We would have lucky number 7 while I am here in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. So yeah, this episode is coming to you from Las Vegas. How about that? I'm actually off right now and am sitting back with a cold beverage. It's not often on Thinking Deeply that I have a cold beverage, but, in keeping with the theme of tonight's show, I'm having a cold beverage on Thinking Deeply. Normally, Dudes and Beer is more reserved, like the straight episodes are more reserved for sitting back, kicking a few back and talking. Thinking Deeply is really more my philosophic end, but, the topic for today is learning to take a moment, learning to stop and smell the roses, learning to appreciate the things that you have in life, and the time that you have in life to do it. As the new year has begun, those kind of thoughts circulate in my head frequently. We all have this new year, new self concept at the beginning of it. And whether or not we keep up with it is a total horse of a different color, so to speak. You really have to learn to find time amongst all the hustle and bustle of everyday life. And that's what we're going to talk about whenever we get back from this message from our sponsor.
Hey, are you a musician? Do you play guitar, bass, or synthesizers? Are you a studio engineer looking for that different sound? Well, fret no longer. Austin Hot Mods is there for you. From Boss to Ibanez, DoD to EHX and more, Austin Hot Mods provides over 50 different modifications and customizations to some of the most popular guitar pedals on the market, from vintage to modern. So if you're looking for that boutique custom sound on a Craigslist budget, look no further. Contact Austin Hot Mods today and mention that you heard it here on the Dudes and Beer podcast for 5% off your first guitar pedal modification. Visit them online at austinhotmods.com. Texas owned and operated and home of the Mod of the Month deal. That website again is austinhotmods.com.
And we are back. That's right. That's one of the many things that I take time in life for, is the playing of my music, the creation of my music, and Austin Hot Mods. There was a little time there. There was a huge virus infection that happened on one of my accounts, and it happened to be one that had Austin Hot Mods on it. And Austin Hot Mods, after being up for about 4 years, got completely corrupted and deleted from the internet, and there was nothing there. And I was like, am I really going to rebuild 4 years of website from scratch? That's going to be a daunting task. And it took me I think 32 hours total to get everything back to the point that it is today. And there's still a couple things that need to be done. But the point of me rambling on that is that I took the time. I took the time and I thought about it, and it was like, number one, Austin Hot Mods has provided me some amazing opportunities in life. It's given me a great amount of enjoyment, and it's something that I've wanted to do. So I should keep that going. I should keep that up and running. And not only that, I do web design, and Austin Hot Mods is on my business card. And it's no good to do web design and not have one of the websites on your business card not working. So, logically, I had to take the time. Just like I took the time for that nice sip of beverage. What do I mean by taking the time? As I go through daily from the convention that I am working and the work that I am doing, hard all day, every day, hustling it, doing it, taking care of it. And then I walk back to my room through the casino. Just the hustle and bustle of the casino, just the concept of this casino floor is such a statement for the society in which we live and the lives that we live. Think about it. These people are going on vacation, and they go to vacation to stay up all night and do things on such a crammed schedule that they can't enjoy their vacation, and they're just stuck in a casino, being bombarded by noise like they were every day at work, is what they were trying to escape. And then what ends up happening is you're now, during your thought of escape, using gambling and drinking, and both of those combined, number one, are pretty addictive habits, or can be for a lot of people. And you're combining those with the concept of escape and getting away, and relaxation. And I don't really necessarily agree with that. I'm not necessarily down with that. I worked in a casino for a stint in my life, and I can't say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked the people I worked with, but the environment was, it was rough, man. Like seeing the same old grandparents coming in on the bus from Houston and rubbing on machines and talking to them at 2 a.m. and stuff was just, man, it's rough. It's rough. So taking the time, what do we mean by taking the time? We live a very crammed schedule life, and a lot of that is by choice. I've said frequently on this show, in order to find your passion, you need to take the time to do something that you love, whether it's riding a bike, whether it's building something in the garage, whether it's mowing the lawn, man. Believe it or not, for some people that chore is like a moment of pure relaxation. I know people who love going out on their riding mower and just cruising around, man. It's time by myself. It's quiet. Nobody wants to get near me because they think they're going to have to work. So for them, the mowing of the lawn is their solace, and they take their time to do it every week. It's kind of a meditation, and that's kind of what I mean, is taking the time to find a meditative point, taking the time to find quiet and do what it is that you love to do. Taking time to smell the roses, and it's hard. It's hard. We're programmed as Americans, and for all of you out there, just so you know, we do not just have an American audience. We have quite a listenership in Russia, and I've seen a few from China recently, quite a few in the Middle East. So thank you, worldwide listeners who are listening. We love you. We love the fact that this message is getting across the world. And, they have a different concept of life. I remember a friend of mine from, I want to say Eastern Russia is where she was from, always said that, every year her dad got like a month and a half off work. And they went on holiday, and they would go to the Baltic Sea and stuff like that. And it was like, like a month and a half? I don't know anybody that gets a month and a half off work. Like, maybe you get 2 weeks for vacation. Maybe. Depends on your job. But if you're a working schmo, you ain't getting 2 weeks off vacation. I have 2 weeks off in a row, and I'm worried because I'm self-employed, man. So if I take 2 weeks off, I better have a good stockpile. I better have some gigs booked in advance whenever I get back, stuff like that. So for me, slowing down is really hard. But we've got to take the time to learn to do it, not just as individuals, but as a people. As a people, as a country, we've got to take the time to slow down and think about things. Really think about things. Think about the impact of things. Think about the far-reaching impact of things. You know, like I saw an article recently that was talking about how scientists have come out and said that it may be dangerous to be altering DNA. It's like, yeah, you think? You know, the immediate effect may be great. What happens 3 generations down the line? Unfortunately, you can't study that. You know, we may remove the gene for cancer, the chromosome that causes cancer, but we don't know that 3 generations down the line that also destroys all the melanin in our skin, and we can't be in daylight anymore as a species, and we have to like live underground. You know, who knows? Some crazy stuff. We don't know what's going to happen between evolution and what we've done. So we really have to take the time to think about that. And whenever you're working on decisions in life, you need to take the time to think about it. Pray on it. Think about it. You know, whatever, man. Make a pro and con chart, something. But we as a society have become such a knee-jerk reaction to things, and such a raw nerve, because it's like we don't take time to step back. We don't take time to step back from the world around us and see things from one small point looking at all the rest, instead of filtering all the rest onto this one small point, which is what we're doing most of the time. You know, we're actually filtering everything happening in the world down to us. And really, it doesn't work that way, man. Like, it just doesn't. All roads do not lead to you. Despite what the ego in your head says, you need to listen to the id and understand that you are the one that has the greater impact on the world around you, not the other way around. You know, because you're the one making the conscious decision. You can choose whether or not to give a damn about that topic or not, you know. So you make the decision as to whether or not to make time for things. And I guess I've just found over the last few years, and I remember it was a guy at a church that I worked at, Pastor Dave, and it was one of the only nuggets of information he ever gave me. One of the only real wise things he ever said, because, I mean, we ended up having some issues about pay and things like that, and, well, being paid and people who did work being paid. But regardless, one of the things he told me was, you have to take time, Chris. You have to take time for you. You have to take time to step back so that when you come back, you can appreciate what you're doing. And that's true. That's true. If you've ever worked in an office, if you've ever been somewhere, you truly see how indispensable you are as a person, depending on the size of your office. I mean, of course, if you're working in an office building of like 8,000 people, you may not be as indispensable. But like when I worked at the church, whenever I worked at like the editing facility that I worked at, stuff like that, whenever I would take like a day off work, something like that, it was immediately like, whenever I came back, like, oh my God, thank God you're back. Thank God you're here. Even the churches that I worked at, because I made things easier. I made things just flow. because I took the time to be there early. I wasn't like the volunteers. I took pride in what I did. I showed up early. I stayed late. That kind of stuff. And those are the incremental things that make a difference. And the reason I did that wasn't to make more money necessarily. It was because I loved what I did and I was proud of what I did. And I wanted the best out of what I did. And I wanted the best out of me in what I did. But that also led, because of my people-pleasing tendencies, that also led to me not taking a whole lot of time for me. And doing things for me. I did a lot of things for other people for years and years and years, like 30 hours of volunteer work a week. And sure, that fed me inside. It made me feel good, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't working on me while I did that. I guess there was maybe a little selfish reason in there because I liked doing it. It made me feel good, most definitely. I loved doing it. It was great. I miss it to many respects, and to many respects, that's why I started Talking Sound, was to give these educational point of views on the industry of audio video, and to give people's experiences. So yeah, I do miss that teacher aspect, but for me, it was more, I had no time for me. And when I turned 30, I kind of decided to change that. It's like, I'm tired of living my life via other people, for other people, and for the betterment of other people. Why should all of this energy go to them and none of it to me? Why do I, for some reason, feel myself unworthy of these things? And that's really what a lot of it comes down to. That's really what a lot of it comes down to with taking time. With taking time, taking breaks, sitting back, getting some perspective. We don't think we are worthy of that time. We don't think that we are worthy of gaining that perspective. And the fact is, that is about as wrong as it could possibly get. I can't think of a whole lot more wrong than that, because we are absolutely deserving of this time. Without this time to sit back and reflect, without this time to step away from what it is that we do, we can't be ourselves. We can't find ourselves necessarily. We cannot fully be defined by just the job that we do. Hell, a lot of the reason I started this podcast and Talking Sound was because, but especially this one, was because I needed to get out. The only people I hung around were people in my industry. The only time I left my house was to go work. And I was like, I am an almost 40-year-old man, and that is not healthy. I need to get out a couple times a week and hang out with some dudes and just hang out, and I loved the concept of doing a podcast. I was already doing one, and I was like, that would be a fun podcast. Just some dudes kicking around, drinking some beers, BSing and talking about all kinds of crazy things. So, bam, made it happen. And that's one reason why I love this show, is because it is my time away. It is my one night a week to go out and do something. Hey, man, go out and hit up the bingo hall, spend $10, whatever. Maybe not that. That's encouraging a form of gambling, and perhaps I shouldn't encourage that. Don't go play bingo. But you know what I mean, man. Like, you have to literally set aside time. And I've noticed since Amy and I have moved into this rental house that I have set aside more time, and I think it's really because we have more space. And for the first time in my life, I do not share a common floor, ceiling, or wall with a neighbor or a family member. I find myself on Sunday mornings sitting on the couch watching PBS and just playing guitar, and I haven't done that in years. And I feel so happy and so fulfilled with that. It's amazing. And it's because I'm taking the time. I'm taking the time incrementally, bit by bit, to do something that I love. Even in my home studio over the last week and a half or so, I have been renewing gear and moving it around, stuff like that. And just the process of patching and repatching and relabeling patch bays and stuff like that. It's almost a cleansing process. Like, this old concept was gone, and now I'm in a new space and a new arrangement, and I've got new projects coming up, and this is great. And it really breathed life into it, and I've done a good, 30 minutes of recording already, and it just feels so good. It feels so good because I'm taking the time to do it. Much like my website that I started up, and I asked my wife about it, if I should do it. She was like, absolutely, you should do it. You've got 20-something hours of music. You've got 20 years of poetry. You've got some really crazy photography stuff if you really got it together. She was like, you should totally put up a website with all your work on it and sell some of your albums and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. If anything, I'll do that so that my son has it later, so that there's a chronicle of things that I did. Because once it's out on the internet, it's out on the internet. It ain't going anywhere. So I've been doing that, and taking the time to do that is a little time consuming, but by going through an hour a day, 1 hour a day, and I'm a self-employed dude, my baby is not here yet, and really with an hour a day, I can go through and remaster one album a day through the gear and recapture it and digitize it off the original tracks and put them up. Unless I've got a gig, what else am I going to do? I should take the time to do that. I could sit out in the front room and watch Law and Order murder rape marathons all day long on TV, or I could do something productive, something that feeds me, something that makes me feel good with that little bit of time, And not that sometimes it isn't necessary to just sit back and watch some murder rape marathons or whatever it is that you watch on TV. That's great. That's fantastic. I'm encouraging you to be something a little bit larger than that. Think a little bit bigger. Think a little bit broader. Organize family pictures. Do stuff like that. Sit down and take care of a project that you have known that you've needed to get done for a long time, and just start plugging away at it. Just start working at it little by little. It doesn't all have to be in one chunk. Like, you ain't gonna eat the elephant in one bite. It's gonna be a slow and steady process there. So, just begin the process. Keep up with the process. Make sure that you take time to get away from the noise. Get away from the noise of the casino of life, guys. All right? Because it'll wear you down. And it's meant to wear you down. It's supposed to wear you down. It's supposed to make you want to just give in and keep doing it. And don't do that. Don't fall for that. Be something better. Strive to be something better. Strive to bring yourself to a new point of being and a new paradigm of thinking that you are worth the time. You're worth the time. And you have to learn to see that. So many times in this society, between work, from when we were kids in school, whatever, we were told that we were not worth the time. And the fact is, we are worth the time. We are worth the time. And the most important person to give us that time is us. It's us. We're the ones who have to give ourselves that time. We're the ones who have to, number one, let ourselves allow us to have that time. You know what I mean? So allow yourself to have the time first. Tell yourself it is okay to take this time away. It is okay to sit back, relax, not let it all get to me so much. you know? And once you get to the point where you realize you're worthwhile having that time and that you're worth that time, you'll start realizing that you're worth a whole lot more than that. Till next time, everybody, take care.
Thanks for listening to this installment of Thinking Deeply with Dudes and Beer. Tune in next time for more deep introspection, contemplative thought, and general musings on humanity and life. Right here on Thinking Deeply with Dudes and Beer. Like what you heard? Feel free to tune into the other content by Dudes and Beer on dudesandbeer.com. Our content is also available on the Spreaker market, as well as SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app. Dudes and Beer is a proud member of the Revolution Digital Group family of podcasts. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody, and until next time, drink responsibly.